Hello and welcome to another episode of the podcast for the recently deceased. I'm Nate Roberts.
I am Rodney Godek. How are you doing, brother?
Very good, very good. Tired after a full day of work we put in today in
Yeah,
the basement. That was exciting.
yeah.
But very excited for episode 5 of season 2. Another A24 feature. Seems like we can't get away from these guys. Not that we would want to.
And we're going to be coming right back because very, very soon, Ty West's prequel, Pearl, will be releasing in theaters. It is the origin story, so to speak, of the character Pearl, played by Mia Goth from the movie X, which we both loved earlier this year.
Right, right. And putting them both out in the same year, I feel like is crazy, but I mean,
Well, I mean, I think I don't know if it's actually true that he was going to be doing the trilogy or if these movies are part of the trilogy now that this has got a second one. But
right.
um, I mean, the energy's there. It was already shot, so you I guess risk losing, letting the fire cool before you try to refuel it, and you might have to rekindle it, start it back anew if you were to wait another year where people are like, oh, what was X again? And then you got to do a re-release of that or try to, get it on a streaming platform so people care again. I don't know. I'm excited to see what it is. And
Hey, I'm excited to. I mean, more horror the better. I'm not gonna complain about,
of
getting
course,
getting two movies from Ty West in the same year, both
it's interesting though. I don't.
A24.
There's not a lot of films aside from like the ones that just get released on Netflix, like the what's called the Fear Street
The
ones came
Fear
all out
Street,
at the
yes,
same
yes.
time. So we'll see how it goes. It'll be interesting to see its reception. That's a good point.
Okay,
So yeah, A24 for tonight.
A24. Hey, first time viewers, we're going to give you a down and dirty, spoiler free review and a score. And then we are going to warn you about the spoilers ahead as we start our deep dive discussion, um, where you probably don't want to stay tuned unless you've seen the film. Um,
Yeah,
so
we'll
that's what we
give our
do.
ratings before we get into that part. So if you just want to stick around, see if it's worth your time, feel free to do so. Watch the movie, come back and re-listen to the cast where we get into all the little nitty gritty. This is a fun movie to break down. This is sort of a slasher type
Sort of
build as a
slasher.
slasher,
So,
so it's an exciting thing. So
all
yeah, let's
right.
just get into it.
So here we go. Bodies, bodies, bodies. When a group of rich 20 somethings plan a hurricane party at a remote family mansion, a party game turns deadly in this fresh and funny look at backstabbing, fake friends, and one party gone very, very wrong. Directed by Helena Rain. Um, looks like written by Sarah Delapi. Delap. Story
Tilapia.
by Kristen Rupenian. Um, we kind of get a guest star. Pete Davidson's in this movie of
Uh
SNL
huh.
and fame and banging, e-girls fame.
Yeah, and Kardashian and being the bane of Kanye West's existence for a period of time.
Right, right.
But whatever. Of being pretty much a template of bad decisions,
Yes.
things to avoid in your career, I suppose, and fame. But so yes, I think that's a good thing to bring up that Pete Davidson's in it because it's I think that his inclusion to the cast can right out the gate be a little bit polarizing as much as he's kind of tried to um, refine his image. And he did do the King of Staten Island, I think it's called, which
Hmm.
I haven't seen, but it seems like a more dramatic role. He has a very dark sense of humor, and he brings that up in a lot, or has in Saturday Night Live and other venues where he talks about the fact that his father did pass during 9/11,
Hmm.
and so he did a movie that was sort of about that kind of a story. And so, despite that, he's still a weird guy. And I think that his inclusion in this film definitely raised your eyebrows, where you were like, I don't know, I'm gonna see it, but you felt skeptical to say the least about him being in it, and that it could take you out of it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and To be honest, I thought he did fine. Like,
Yeah.
you're kind of not supposed to like the character, and you don't. But I didn't dislike it because it was Pete Davidson. I disliked it because he did a great job in the role. Um,
Yeah, and this film, this descriptor, this little tagline that's at the beginning, this is great. It doesn't play its hand uh too much. It is kind of out front, and maybe they're kind of giving a little bit too much. Like, you don't need to tell me it's about backstabbing for friends. Just let me figure that out. Just say it's a party that goes very, very wrong, and that'd be enough. You
yeah,
don't have to give me the things to look out for. I can probably figure that out within 5 seconds of the way that this movie goes. With how they talk to one another.
sure.
So that's not a mystery. So, uh, yeah, you mentioned the unlikability. This movie is really kind of all about unlikability and a bunch of leads that, for the most part, you're meant to not relate or enjoy watching.
Yeah, yeah. So to give you the quick gist, all these friends, quote unquote friends, go to a party. The leads, Sophie and B, are they're newly dating. You could say 6 weeks.
I,
They've been dating for
Six
6 weeks.
weeks? Was it
Yep,
6 weeks or 6 months?
6 weeks.
6 weeks? Or
6 weeks.
yeah, yeah. Okay.
Sophie had just told B that she loved her, and B didn't really say anything
Hmm.
back, and that was before they traveled to the party. Um, and nobody expected Sophie to show because of her history with the
Hmm.
group, with this particular issue from her past, which we'll get into later. She also, as it was said a few times, did not respond in the group chat.
Uh-huh.
Uh, this movie plays very heavily on social media norms, like new norms in social media. Um,
Yeah, if
and
you don't have to be a 20 something, but if you're not kind of into the culture of 20 somethings or watching the kind of debauchery or social interactions of their culture, whether we want to call it Gen Z or millennials or whatever the hell, if you really don't want to watch a movie about that, then you really shouldn't watch this, because that is heavily uh, it's
it's
really imbued with that
yeah,
lifestyle and culture and atmosphere, and that's what's driving the plot through this, is this animosity and back and forth and
yeah.
way that they
Y y
interact with one another, social cues and everything like
yeah.
that. So
What I will, a few things I will say, if you watch a show, you know that this social media trope has been used a lot in horror lately. In my opinion, mostly it's been used as a crutch, to be a plot device of some kind. In
hmm
this movie, it's actually used more than it's used in like let's say Superhost, but
yeah.
but it's not done in this like in your face annoying kind of way. It's almost done casually by all these characters, like it's more normal and more just the way things are, more a part of their lives. Whereas
Yeah,
in the Seed and Superhost, it's more about showboating, and this is like a huge like
feels like a thing.
yeah, yeah.
We got to make sure that we
But in
highlight this in
Bodies,
a way.
it's just
It's
like
just the setting.
it's
Yeah,
just
it's the
there.
way that it's done. It's written very, very strong in that in the way that it's shot, in that it does feel natural, like you said, and it's just there. There's detail, incredible detail, with the way that they've created this mansion that they're having this hurricane party at.
Yeah,
It's all lived in, and all of their actions with it in the relationships that they have seem very lived in and natural with one another, and they don't feel as it's just extremely well written. It becomes apparent while this movie is going on, everything, and a lot of it has to do with the fact that the social media and the way that they utilize social media, or with the texting and everything, how those devices have played a role in that. They're just there, and it doesn't make a thing of it at all. It is just part of
It's just there. It's just part
the
of their
scenery
it's
there.
just part of their lives. Yeah, it's more of like a setting than it is
Yeah.
the core of the story. But all the characters are using it instead of just like the main character who's
Right.
using it as this plot device, which I thought was very neat. A nice new take on something I think we've seen too much of. But in Bodies feels very fresh. Um, Another really interesting thing about this movie is the power goes out naturally. It's a hurricane party and in a mansion. Now, the use of darkness, I think, and I mentioned this to Rod earlier, I don't think I've seen such good use of darkness since the original Blair Witch Project. This director, cinematographer, whoever was in charge of this, did an
Yeah.
excellent job. What I like most is once again the cell phone use, which I would normally hate in a horror
Hmm.
movie, but in this movie, um, they are using it for light, and the flashlight goes out, and the screen light lights up their face, so you're getting everything you need. You're getting their face, their emotions as they act, and you're getting what they're looking at. And then they're surrounded in darkness, which once again was a very cool element um, that didn't get old because almost the entire movie is in darkness, and I never once was like, oh, geez, when is the power going to get come on? When is it going to be morning? I need to see more. I need more. And yeah, once again, just an excellent job with that use.
Yeah, Jasper Wolf is the cinematographer, and I believe that he must have worked with the director on the movie Instinct, because I think that they're both attached to that, which I am unfamiliar with. It's a
Yeah, I didn't see
yeah,
Instinct.
director, and he's the cinematographer. It's a dramatic thriller that came out in 2019, so maybe worth looking at that. But yeah, that's more or less been his thing. Is he's been the DOP and cinematographer of several films. Nothing that I think has hit our radar necessarily.
Right.
So yeah, I concur. The lighting, the way that that's all shot, and the fact that they're using the digital or the cameras to navigate the house was really well done. It gives you feel like you're part of the scenery there, and the way that things are shot, it can be annoying. I was laughing or making fun of the black phone because Finney's in the basement and he has his little rocket ship pen light, which seems to be an LED, which I had a sort of an issue with because LEDs wouldn't have existed commercially in that kind of a setting yet. I think they had LEDs technically, but just not mass marketed like that in a little toy. But he was using it and it was illuminating the whole back half of the basement with bright lights. And I'm like, it took me out of it a little bit. This film and the way that it utilizes the lighting devices that the characters have on them feels it's going to be a broken record in some aspects, but it's a very naturalistic and realistic portrayal of it, and the lighting feels genuine to things because that disbelief, the breakdown, the immersion uh, splinters a little bit whenever they do. You know, there's a giant there's a giant bulb back here with a umbrella throwing light on this side of the wall so that we can get the right shot because I don't know how to do it differently. That's a real thing. Um, I don't want to get into it, but there has been recent postings or people talking about the cinematographer for Nope and the camera trickery that they did to make a lot of the night shots work. And they're talking about implementing two lenses that are shooting the same stuff, but one is an infrared lens and one is regular lens. And then they blend these two footages together so that the sky is black from the infrared, but everything is illuminated and they shoot it during the day. It's not shot at night. All kinds of crazy sorcery esque type things
Yeah,
happen
they
with
used to do that.
DOPs, and if you're not in the game, it's so confusing.
They used to do that in the 80s. They would shoot during the day with a blue light filter. That's why lots of night shots look blue. They're just shooting it during the day with a blue light filter on the lens. And
Yeah,
I mean,
things have advanced where they're
sometimes you
using
just can't
crazy
shoot at
shit now.
night, you know?
But yeah, it's awesome. So like there's so much that goes on into making these films, and I think what we're saying is that there's a lot that this film has going for it, and this is just another thing that you can add to that list. So, anything else that's sticking out for this film? I think one of the big takeaways, aside from the things that we've already mentioned, is that I think it feels very smart. This also might allude to the fact that if you do look at the how it's being received, that critics are liking it more than audiences are liking it. It is written in such a way and is filmed in such a way that it knows what it's doing, and it's an A24 film, so you know that there's
Yeah, there's commentary. It
yeah.
it's definitely, it's elevated, right? Even their
I wasn't gonna say it.
e-
I
uh,
knew you. I wasn't
yeah,
gonna say it.
even their slashers are elevated. You can't escape it. It's A24. They're not just gonna make a movie for no reason. Um,
Yeah, it's smart about it. It has
yeah,
something to say, or there's going to be a commentary that it's not that it's going to be a preachy thing that's going to be hard to watch, or you can't appreciate or look at as a layperson. It's still going to be a fun film. It's just that they're going to do things and make it more difficult for themselves because they don't want to fall into the same tried and true tropes of the genre. They want to do something new and creative, and that's the problem. How do you do something new and creative? They're coming up with their own unique
right.
solution, and I'm fine with horror movies doing that. Like I think that that's interesting. It's inspiring to see people come up with creative solutions to make a good horror slash slasher movie.
Yeah,
Like we've seen a ton of them. They are you have to come up with ways to reinvent the genre, and
yeah.
I like the anyone's effort in doing that.
In summation, uh, I love slashers. It's probably my favorite subgenre of horror. Maybe that's why I was a little harder on this movie than Rodney. It That being said, it was a good movie. Definitely go watch it. As far as A24, it's in the bottom half. But that doesn't mean it's bad at all. I mean, A24 has a stellar catalog.
Yeah.
This movie I would describe as smart, slasher-esque, laugh out loud funny at times, very entertaining, and for me, lands at a 6 out of 10.
Yeah, I agree with everything that you're saying. It's still I feel that it deserves the 7 and not the 6 for me. I don't think that it definitely this film to me, I know will not stand the test of time, or it's going to be something that I'm going to want to revisit and like love in 5 years or even next year. Maybe in 10 years, I'll be like, yeah, it was interesting. But there's so much in the genre that's more fun for different reasons and worth a rewatch that this never will be more than a 7, and it really probably cools to a 6 longer term. It's very good. It's very watchable. It's very entertaining. It looks good. It's smart enough. It's funny enough at times. The cast is annoying enough where you're kind of excited to see what madness is going to occur with them. And it's interesting. It's a unique kind of setting, and the way that they handle it is unique. And there's a like a hidden role werewolf-esque type game, which if anyone's a board gamer, tabletop gamer, or social party gamer, you know these kind of games, and those games are fun as hell because of the drama that happens as you try to figure out who is doing what. And so we'll get into all that as the breakdown, but that's where I'm going to list that 7. Not a long-lasting type film, but the 6 is very understandable. Go watch it.
Absolutely. At this point, we will warn you if you have not seen Bodies, 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 or do not care, or do care, I should say, about being spoiled. Um, Go watch the movie and then come back for the rest of the episode.
Do it.
um, all right. So right away, I definitely wanted to mention the game. I'm glad you brought it up.
Yeah.
Bodies, Bodies,
Yeah.
Bodies is a game
I'm
they
so glad
play.
that that's the name of the game. Like, I
Yeah.
hate the title of this movie, and I'm glad that they said it. Oh, guys, let's play Bodies, Bodies, Bodies. I'm like, oh, it's a game, and they're rushing to say it. Like,
Right.
this makes sense. I feel better
Yes.
about everything about the title now.
um, Yeah, I mean honestly, like I was ready for like a 20 body count slasher called Bodies, Bodies, Bodies.
I know where
Like,
it's like they're just writing bodies because there's going to be a ton of bodies
yeah,
everywhere.
yeah,
I'm excited for that,
yeah.
and that's not what we're going to get.
That's not what we got.
But the explanation for why it's called that, I accept,
Yeah,
and
so
I'm
Bodies, Bodies,
content with
Bodies,
it.
like you said, is a, like werewolf or killer or whatever it was called growing
Mafia,
up. You've played it.
yes,
Everybody's played it. You're gonna get tapped.
hopefully,
You're gonna get tapped on the back or the shoulder, and you're gonna have to play dead, and they're gonna try and figure out who's the killer.
yeah.
And so the first person to die is
Greg,
Greg, who
I'm old
is
Greg,
Alice's older gentleman friend who she apparently met
boyfriend, yeah,
on
chemistry thing, yeah.
Tinder 2 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and is kind of weird. Nobody, he's kind of weird. Everybody kind of thinks he's kind of weird. Um, what's his name? Pete Davidson's character, like hates him, straight up hates him.
Yeah.
He's got this like jealous, this guy's cooler than me kind of thing going on.
Yeah, yeah, that's Pete Davidson's thing.
Yeah,
He's very insecure and feels beta like amongst next to Greg, who by all rights is a fucking stud. The
right.
dude is hot, and he seems cool as shit. He's
Yeah,
definitely older, but he's hanging with all these 20 somethings. This is a party where there's lots of drug use, there's lots of alcohol use. These are extremely wealthy 20 somethings that don't give a fuck about anything and don't have any responsibility. You can imagine in that lifestyle, this is what you do. And if he's lucky enough to be a part of it, then he's just going to have fun. And he does. He's a
yeah.
cool character. He's definitely, he's a vet. That's what they say. Somehow I think someone says like, oh, such and such said he's a vet. And that's all that you
And then
hear.
someone else goes, yeah, I think he was in Afghanistan. Now,
Yeah.
that's
And I love the gag. Like, can we just talk
yeah,
about the gag of that?
yeah. It's so
Yeah, he
funny.
is a vet. He's a
He's a
veterinarian.
veterinarian.
And it's this movie is excellent in that it subverts your expectations and it takes you in one direction and then it kind of like pulls the rug out with what could
Yeah,
happen. Now, we're going to get into the details. Nate is a an expert detective at figuring movies out at the most interesting times, and Nate kind of solved this movie early on. Uh,
I did, and it's because when I watch movies, especially when I watch them like critically, like I try to think of them from a writing perspective, and I always am in trying to be in the mind of the writer. So when I see something happening, I'm like, oh, why did the writer do that? Is it because he's
sure.
alluding to this or to that? And anyways, that's how I digest a
I've
movie.
cognizantly made decisions to recently go into movies, especially because like there's certain movies that we'll review where we'll get a chance to watch things twice. But a lot of the ones that we're doing now, it's summer. We're watching it at the theater and we're talking about it.
Yeah,
Um, so whenever I'm lately, when we're just doing this one viewing before we talk, I am going in like just like turn off
yeah,
critical. Rodney's
yeah,
going to talk about this Tuesday night and like just watch it, like just like and just
yeah.
experience it.
Right.
And I'm like, I find myself like not thinking like shit, and like I'm thinking back to whenever you said like that you kind of called the twist. I'm thinking like I don't feel bad like or dumb. I just think like I was just thinking, oh well, who is it? Is it could it, like just like when watching Scream, you're like,
Right.
okay, so that person was here and this person was there, but then this person died, so that means that it could have been this person or that person. But they don't act like that, and like so I'm just sitting there, just like, okay,
Yeah.
like
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Before I guessed it, I think the only person it could have been was Emma in my mind, based on like personality types. Uh,
sure,
and then Greg was killed, and I was like, oh, okay. Well, I was way off. Okay, so here it is. All right, so
yeah,
let's not talk about the twist yet. Let's get to that a little bit later, because as you said, the way this movie subverts your expectations, um, the writing is so good. It's so smart. It is so real
mm-hmm.
in the way that when someone says Greg's a vet, somebody just says, yeah, I heard he went to Afghanistan. She didn't hear he went to Afghanistan. She just said that to say it because that's what people do. People just say random things that they think they heard or they made it up on the spot. Like it happens
And
all
want to
the time in
attribute it to something.
conversation, right? You lie like 110 times a day, like
Hmm.
just like in casual conversation for no reason. Like oh, I just went and saw blah blah blah. I was like, oh, I saw that too. I thought it sucked, but you didn't see it. You just heard that it sucked. You just said that because you wanted to be part of the conversation. I'm not saying it's okay to do that. I'm just saying that it happens, and
Sure.
and that is an example of it because she said, "Yeah, I heard he went to Afghanistan." The next step is when the first body turns up, everyone thinks it was Greg. He is a war vet. He's probably got PTSD. He's probably all sorts of fucked up. Let's go find Greg.
He's the variable. He's the new one. We don't know him.
Yeah,
So yeah,
and
it all
all the
and it
chips
all
are.
makes sense. And he seems a little off, but that's you're the thing that is great about this film is in this it happens from the start. You are meant to be alongside the characters in the film, and that you're over analyzing everyone's actions to try to piece together and understand and figure out how could this happen or how could someone do this, and anything that goes against them you're like, oh well, that happened because so that means that they are not to be trusted because of that. And I love that this does it, them playing this game, bodies bodies bodies, this is what makes those games so good. The social dialogue and dynamics, the conversations that occur when you're playing a game like this, where someone is a hidden bad guy and all the good guys have to suss them out and figure out and finger, and oh, they're the bad guy. These games are some of the most gaming experiences I've ever had. Most notably, the when we played the thing last year,
The
it
Thing, what a great
was
game.
so fantastic. So that's hidden role where it's based upon the movie. Somebody is infected, and so, throughout the game, more than one person can be infected, but they got to pretend to not be so that they can escape or just survive and live to the end. And all the good guys are trying to figure it out. And with the way that you try to figure things out, it just seems so suspect with a lot of people. And the fact that they're playing a game that's similar to that, it's like it's already puts them on edge. And it's
Oh,
also funny whenever they talk about the game, they're like, everyone just ends up hating each other and getting angry at the end of this game. Like
yeah,
it's like, yeah, because people are going to overly antagonize one another to help
right.
provoke to try to see if there's a quivering lip or an uncertainty
Yeah,
or shaky answer with something to see, oh, they are real or oh, they are bad.
right. So that being said, the first dead body in Bodies, 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 not the movie, the game, is Greg. And
Hmm.
Greg won't wake up. He's pretending to be dead, and the girls are
Yeah.
actually getting scared. And then,
Uh-huh.
Pete Davidson comes over and taps him on the nuts with his beer bottle, and he pops up. um,
Yeah. He's like,
and,
this always works.
yeah, and then they have the discussion, right? So like every time you find a body, you have to like kill someone, or someone is expelled from the game as the killer. And this is where uh, David's Pete Davidson's character's name is David. His serious beta insecurities come out about Greg, and
Mhm.
Greg's like, "Well, that's my cue to go to bed," and he takes off. So then all the girls vote that David's the killer, so he leaves, and he's like, "Fuck this
Yeah.
game." And
Yeah.
so now we're just left with the girls, and both of the guys are out of the game.
Yeah, and then they're I think they continue to play, or that was their goal,
Yeah.
but the lights power goes out and then
The
things
power goes
change,
out,
right?
and then they split up because some of them are going to go look for the generator,
Yeah.
and that's when they find the first actual body, which is David. Pete Davidson's character is gashed
Mhm.
across the neck, with a bloody sword next to him. This sword that Greg was using earlier to pop open a bottle of champagne in a really cool way. That David yelled at him for. Don't touch my dad's stuff.
Yeah, he's just like, "I found it on the wall." It's like, "Yeah, it's on
But
the wall."
it's on
Like,
the wall.
there all of the this movie is filled, like, I think that it would be fun to rewatch because there's all kinds of little comments, cutting comments or little things that they do to one another throughout the movie, and a lot of times there's a lot of over talking with several characters talking at the same time. And so it would be entertaining to try to listen to different moments throughout it, because that's where the humor is in these very real conversations and real back and forths where people are saying nasty things or just commenting in whatever other way. Uh, they would be entertained because that's where like the chuckles are. There's a couple big laughs with a couple of those things where there's more time or more room and it's just one character saying something, but that would make it fun for rewatch. And so,
Yeah. The
uh,
realistic dialogue, I think, is one of the movie's strongest points. The other one would be the twist, which, just because I guessed it didn't doesn't mean that I think the twist wasn't great.
sure. Well, and I think that kudos to you with the way that you were able to analyze it and kind of come up with it. It's I think it's very creative, and the reason it's great, it's funny that you mentioned it because the twist is so interesting. Um, it's obvious in a way after in retrospect, it's so obvious, but when you're experiencing it, um, you almost don't let yourself believe that because the film presents itself as a traditional slasher whodunit where someone amongst these friends, oh my god, is a killer.
Yeah.
Because that's what every movie has ever done. It's from the beginning of time, the 80s,
Right.
where kids are all together, scream, everything. One
Yeah.
of you is the killer.
Right.
And this movie is taking that and doing something very creative and fun, and so like you're trying to figure it out, just like I was saying where I was watching, I was
Yeah.
being like a dumb, like, oh, who is it if this person was here. That's what the viewer is going to do, and the way that it's able to flip that script is exciting and is very gratifying, and it is a very earned and enjoyable twist reveal
Yeah. I
by the time
I
you come
I
across
also
it.
really like the red herring of the friend Max being thrown out there
Yes,
right away.
I
Max.
yeah, yeah,
So
he's just
Max
gone,
Max and David had a fight because David's obviously an asshole, and
and David has a black eye.
Max took off, and David has a black eye, and where's Max? It must be Max. It can't be any of us.
Right.
Is a recurring theme, and so not only are you trying to like who done it from the crew, you're also like there's this mystery man the whole time.
Yeah.
Which
It's
his
again,
reveal was fantastic
yeah, and it's
too.
again, it's a very smartly written and edited movie. The way that they put this all together is a really tight package. Um, yeah, some of the interactions might be like not your cup of tea, but you can't fault it for not being smart and well written. Like it all
Yeah,
works. There's not a lot of miscues with what they're presenting here.
yeah.
If anything, it might have dragged like the tiniest bit in the middle when they're in the dark house, maybe a little bit there, but
I think
that's a
I, w-
nitpick.
I think I was a little disappointed in the body count.
Sure.
you could have added like one more friend to make it a little more dynamic, or two would have been great. But
Right. Yeah,
but
larger group.
there was just like just a one like one too few people. Regardless, let's go back to the first body, Greg and when they both leave the game, because this was a very important scene where almost everybody's flaws get called out
Hmm.
because you're pointing fingers because you got to vote somebody off the island. So your lip is quivering. When your lip quivers, you're lying. And then the other one's like, well, what about you? You were the first to point fingers, which is a great reference to actually
Yeah.
playing these
Your voice
games.
always gets really high
Your
whenever you're
voice gets
lying. Your
high
voice
pitched
is
when you're
high right now.
lying, and they're
No,
talking
it's
about
not good. It's high right now.
they're talking about Jordan,
Yeah.
right? And yeah,
Yeah.
so this is a very interesting pointing scene, and then of course David goes off on Greg. Greg leaves, and the girls all come together in solidarity to kick David out of the game because he's being an asshole. Um, right. So then they continue. The power goes out, and that's when they find David, and it must be Greg. David's been a dick to Greg all day. Let's find Greg. Where's Greg? So now some of them are obviously looking for the generator still. So let's find Greg. He's not in our room. Alice goes to the room. He's not in the room. Um, they keep
Yeah, they all
looking.
go to the room, they're looking around.
So they find
and they're
they
still
find
looking
they
around.
find what looks like an indoor gym almost, right? Like
Well, they
there's
find his go bag. This is what
oh
strengthens
sure sure
their their suspicion. They find a bag with a map of the place that they're at. It's circled with the house. He
yep.
has a like a hunting knife. He's got rope and other stuff. It's
He's got the head cam which
yeah,
Jordan puts on. So Jordan never has her phone out like the rest of
yeah.
them through the
She's
movie. She's got the
little headlamp.
spelunking lamp, yeah, the headlamp.
Yeah, the head torch,
Yeah.
as they say in other countries. And so yeah, it's that then they lead to the gym. So like they're like, oh, he's got all this stuff. Why does he have all this stuff? Doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
He's gone. He's been gone. We didn't do anything. So
So they have his knife.
obvious.
They have his knife too. They find him in the gym like meditating.
He's wearing a mask. He's wearing
Yeah.
a sleep he's got COPD, I think they said.
Yeah.
So he's wearing this like light mask and he's got his headphones in and it's
Yeah.
really a creepy looking
Scene
costume.
because the light in here is like red.
Yeah, there's like emergency lights on. This
Yeah.
house is it's a very large mansion.
It's a
There's a couple exit
gigantic.
signs in it,
Yeah.
and it seems as if there's like this emergency power that just puts red like lights on in a couple spots of the house. And so there's like an ambient glow of just heavy red
Right.
in the thing, and his mask is like a blue LED like illuminated like
Yeah.
in the back of my room here. And it's really creepy because look it looks a lot like uh when Dwight cut the face off of the dummy and wore it. It looks like a Hannibal Lecter, like it's just covering his face weirdly
Right.
and has awkward holes. And it's a really creepy thing where you're like, again, right there, it looks like the the antagonist's the killer's mask. It looks
Yeah.
like
Sure.
that, and so you're like thinking like, oh, he does
Oh,
look kind of creepy.
they found him. Okay, here it goes. This is the craziness. And they accuse him. What did you do to David? He's like, what are you talking about? They surround him. The one girl's got the knife, which he just takes away from her, like it was nothing.
Yeah,
And at this point, you're like, oh yeah, duh, he's a vet. Like
yeah,
that
he's
makes
defending
so much
himself.
sense.
Yeah,
He just took that knife so easily,
but
and then
he,
the other one
it's
like,
like it's a great there's a great evolution of the way that he's interacting with these characters because you question his the way that he's acting, but he seems very genuine still. Like
right.
you're
Oh yeah,
questioning them. This back and forth where you're like you don't know who to believe. You kind of believe both, but you can't. It what where is it going or what makes sense? He plays it really well because he even thinks that like they're still playing the game. We're still playing that werewolf game, and he even howls like a wolf. He's so comfortable in his
yeah,
skin, and it's like it's not him, or oh my god, he's such a good psychopath that he can play normal when he knows he needs to play normal to these kids. And like, like
yeah,
all of these things are going on in a viewer's head.
yeah. And eventually he gets the knife, and it looks like he may be threatening Sophie in some way, and
Right, but it is all in self-defense because they've been coming at him and he just wants everyone to stop and calm
yeah,
down.
he's like, yeah, but then out of nowhere, B cracks him over the head with a kettlebell,
Yeah,
and then again,
yeah.
killing him.
Bludgeons him to that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And it might have started because they were accusing him of killing David, but for B, it was more about what she says later is self-defense because he was going to attack and or kill Sophie.
Yeah,
Is
because
what
they all kind of
she
had like they had knives and stuff, and because there was like a kitchen knife or the cleaver, and then
right.
his hunting knife type looking thing that he had, and so yeah, they're the aggressors in this interaction because
Yeah.
they've already made up their mind that he's done this,
Yeah.
and they they don't give him anywhere to go, and the way
Right.
that there's
And,
four of them
and they're
or
not
five of them. There's
what's so funny is they're not interrogating him either. They're yelling questions at
no,
him, but they're not letting him
yeah,
answer the questions. It's the
right,
very like mob mentality kind of sequence.
yeah, evil
They're
dies
like,
tonight
"What
type
did you
thing.
do? Yeah, what did you do to David?" And they're not letting him answer. They just keep screaming at him. And he's like, "What are you talking
Mhm.
about?" And
Yeah.
yeah, and then it just escalates. Um,
And so yeah, and so then now he does have like the knife against someone because he's been defending himself and he kind of got things off of them and it looks bad, but he had to defend himself and he hasn't done anything, but it looks like he might. And then yeah, B takes matters into her own hands because she feels that everyone has been threatened. And okay, he's gone, and so then they
all right,
reconvene and they huddle.
all right. So now,
And
you know,
things
some people think that Greg was did kill David and the killer is dead. Other people aren't sure. But as far as the girls are concerned, they're safe at this point, right?
yeah.
Until another body turns up. Um,
Hmm.
so it was at this point where I figured out the ending, which we can come back to later, and I'll give you my reasoning and all that jazz as to how I came to the conclusion later. Um, so the next bit of sequences here have to do a lot with Emma, who was
Yeah.
David's ex forever. I guess they were dating forever, and not ex, but dating forever, and is now an ex because he died. Uh, so she's like she's trying to mourn, and Sophie's trying to mourn because Sophie and David are best friends. But a bunch of shit comes out here, right? Sophie's like, bullshit, you're just a coward, you don't even like him, you're only dating him because it's easy, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, and then she goes, David didn't even like you. He was glad when you left and went to rehab, so he didn't have to deal with your shit anymore. So it's coming out that Sophie was like the drug
Big
addict
time. Yeah.
friend and was the one who ended up in rehab, which she takes pride in. But then the girls are like, "Fuck you! You shouldn't be proud of that. They dragged you away kicking and screaming. They made you go.
Right.
Like you're
Yeah. You
lucky.
didn't have a
You're
choice.
lucky. Fuck you. Yeah. They cut. He cut. She. Your parents cut you off from your trust fund. There's a lot to feel about these characters too. Like what's true, what's not true. You know, because I can picture that scenario, like a friend of
Hmm.
mine being forced to rehab or choosing to go to rehab, and like, what's the appropriate kind of response in either direction? Like, in the bottom of it, shouldn't you just be glad that your friend's not on drugs anymore? But that's it. Is like these girls are just fighting over everything, like
Yeah.
every little jab they can get to
They're
make
not good
themselves
people,
feel
and
better. Yeah.
it's always a who's on like king of the mountain type thing where they want to leverage themselves against one another or know that this one is in a higher status socially or throughout the group than the other, and anything that's a weakness or a negative trait or aspect of that person we're going to attack and pour on top of. And uh it's very, you could say it's catty in that way. I don't think it's a gender restrictive behavior necessarily, but it might be heightened in women to be this way, with one another in certain groups. I've witnessed this, but this isn't indicative of every single group of women that get together.
Right.
So it's just a heightened insecure, and it could have to do with the wealth and upbringing where they're already a little bit empty because of that, or didn't have to go through the struggles of growing up and being, you know, with lesser means, where you have to figure things out or aren't afforded some of the luxuries that would come with having a lot of wealth.
Yeah.
Is a lot of that in there, and so they're all
What
just attacking one another.
what's great too is that every character gets their comeuppance. You can
Yeah,
say every
right.
character is on the receiving end of what Emma was just on the receiving end of.
Hmm.
With Jordan, they're like Jordan apparently has a rags to riches story that she's very proud of,
Right.
and,
They're like,
and
you
they're
are
like,
upper middle class.
and she's like, she gets so pissed that they
Yeah,
called
yeah.
her upper middle class. Um, B gets hers where they Googled her and they found out she never graduated the college she said she did. So you lied to Sophie. Sophie gets hers when Jordan tells B that they fucked like the day
On their
before
way
the
to get
party
you.
on the way to the party. Um, Alice gets hers about her podcast, which was one
Yeah,
of the
that one hit home. It
that
was
yeah
funny.
that was a pretty rough one to listen to myself, but it was so funny. So
Yeah, and
everybody
she
gets
she hate listens.
yeah
Hey,
every
fuck, I would take hate listens right now.
I
I'll
would
be
yeah
honest.
you can hate listen to anything we put out gladly.
I hate do a lot of things, and so yeah, I mean that's the thing that's enjoyable with the presented the movie is that there is something to none of these people are redeeming, and you get to watch them all receive their comeuppance and to become victims of all of the awfulness that is their whole lives,
Yeah,
everything that they're doing with one another. Like the prices
yeah,
paid by the end of the movie with each of
sure.
them, and it's entertaining.
Right. Okay. So we find Emma's body, kind of
Right.
mangled.
Sophie and her have a talk, and Sophie gives her some pills, some Xanax or whatever the hell it is,
Yeah.
and then like they disappear, and then yeah, someone comes across it, much like the game Bodies, 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 because lights are still out and they're navigating things. I want to say it's
Alice, I
is it
believe.
B or is it Alice?
I think
Alice
it's
comes across
Alice.
Emma. Yeah.
And she screams, and everybody comes in, and there's Emma. Okay, so the killer's not dead. Okay, it
Right.
what I told you it wasn't Greg, says Alice.
Yeah. Uh,
And now we're having a problem, right? So now it's like, what do we really know about B? How long have you guys been together? Because that was a question they asked Alice. How long have
mhm.
you and Greg been together before they went and assaulted him in the gym? Um, so I
Yeah.
think they split up again here. Most people, or no, they kick B right out. This is where they throw B out, and she has to fend for herself in the Jeep.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The where she logs into sniffer.com and logs that panty sniff.
yeah, yeah.
Which I mean, dude, yeah, there's women out there fucking earning bank, wearing, allegedly wearing, urinating and then wearing, defecating and then wearing, coming and then wearing, and then selling these underwear on the interwebs. And there are buyers who will pay a lot for all of those. Each one is a new pay threshold. So clearly, B is contributing. She finds the panties in there and she's sniffing and she's like, hmm. It's orange, and she was fine. She was the one that found the orange bra in the bedroom, and Jordan's like, I don't think that he's hiding in my bra
Yeah,
and
yeah.
in my underwear. So like it's like there's a little thing that's there, a little nugget. This film does have those little nuggets where they mention something and it's like, okay, this might come back. It's not as overt as Esther's brother using a crossbow unnecessarily in the middle of the movie, but
Right.
it's same premise. Uh, so anyway, she's in the car and it's kind of funny that she like her first thing that she does is she just pounds a bag of
A
Cheetos or what's left
Cheetos.
of a
That's
bag of
yeah. That's
Cheetos.
well. I mean, they gotta be starving. They've been doing drugs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then yeah, she finds the panties and they're the same orange type print that were in Jordan's room, and she smells them.
She's like,
And she kind of
eh,
pieces together like this is
this doesn't
suspicious.
smell like my lady.
You mentioned a point real quick, and that's the one. This is one of the other things that I'll say is a little bit questionable about the way the film occurs, is that uh, the amount of drug use and alcohol that they're taking in would create different kinds of dynamics at this point in the party where they'd be much further gone, and the actresses and actors that are involved in the movie aren't acting as if they've just been doing a bunch of drugs
Yeah.
and having alcohol.
Well,
They're a little bit too lucid to
uh,
be believable in that, and so like I think it needs to in order to have the social conversations that are occurring.
yeah.
And I feel like they could probably played the manicness of the uppers
Yeah. The amount of coke
that
they're
they
using,
took.
I think, definitely plays into the paranoia. Um,
Right.
yeah, but they definitely could have been a little more
They still seem a little bit more
too a little too
like
lucid.
level
Yeah.
headed. They're
Yeah.
not, yeah. So that's the one, the only other thing. So anyway,
Yeah.
so yeah, she changes clothes and
She changes. Well,
she
she
finds
finds
her way
the dog door, the cat
to the
door.
dog door.
She's yeah sneaks in, and she goes right back to the crew. But she saw
Well,
Jordan.
because she saw Jordan, yeah, she saw
She showed
Jordan with a
Jordan
gun.
pocket a gun that she found in a desk. So she goes straight to the crew, and they're like, "What the fuck are you doing back?" She didn't even like hide in the house or anything. Was
Yeah.
straight back to him, and she's like, "Jordan has a gun," and Jordan's like,
Right.
"No way, I don't have a gun." And
Empty your pockets.
yeah, empty your pockets. She empties her pockets. They fight a little bit more arguing. Things get turned on Jordan somehow, and then she pulls the gun. And now we're like, oh shit. She shoots Alice in the leg.
Mostly because she was just annoyed and sick of listening to Alice complain
Yeah,
and bitch about the
yeah.
podcast stuff and everything.
And I do love Alice's dialogue here. And actually, this is kind of like the opposite of what we just said about the too lucid. You know, she's definitely not acting in as much pain as she should be for being shot in the leg, and she actually says, "I've never been shot before, and this really fucking hurts." Like as they're like piled on each other and like fighting, that's what she
Yeah.
says. So
She's
that
like,
was like
you just shot me with a gun.
with a
And like
yeah,
there's good comic timing with a lot of the line delivery, and it's I can't
yeah,
do it justice, but it's and she's great. Um so then a struggle ensues for the weapon between all of the girls,
yeah,
and in the struggle Alice is shot through the neck,
through
like
the
into
neck,
the
yeah,
head
yeah.
seemingly, and so
So Alice does die after the
right.
shot, yes.
Yeah.
Um,
And so then there's more fighting and going on. I think where there's running and
yeah,
there are people
running,
hiding from a cat and mouse type thing
yeah.
ensues.
And then this
And
is where
now,
Jordan gets basically tossed over the balcony
right,
by
yeah, because
Sophie.
but B I think is with her.
Okay, by
B
both of them.
attacks them, and B more or less throws her over the
Right.
banister, and she falls from the second story onto the
Yeah.
foyer glass
And
table, and
she's obviously revealed the sexual encounter. So she's dying with her dying breath. She's like, "Check the texts," and then fires a bunch of shots at them at the balcony, and just like Sophie just like pulls B away. Uh,
sure,
so then we're at
as
the
the storm's
standoff. Like
over, yeah.
it's B versus Sophie now. Who, you know, I kind of call. Oh well. All right. So I try to call the final girl and the first kill. Like you've got like milestones for slashers, right? So I definitely called David or Pete Davidson's character as the first kill. It only made sense as he was probably the you know the most money, the guest star, the Drew Barrymore, if you will, of of Bodies, Bodies, Bodies. I called B as the final girl. It did turn out to be B and Sophie. Um, so anyway, show me the text. They fight over her phone. They're outside now. It's daytime. It's like
Yeah,
morning.
Dawn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, they find a phone in the mud. It's not Sophie's phone. It is David's phone. So they they open his eyes and use the Apple thing to unlock the phone, and there's a video of him outside with the sword that Greg used to open the bottle of champagne. He's twirling it around like an idiot, and he chops himself right in the neck. So David killed himself accidentally, and then all of the deaths that ensued were literally caused by infighting, backstabbing, and paranoia, um, which is what I guessed would happen when Greg was killed by B. Because I was convinced that B was the final girl, and she's the one who killed Greg in self-defense of Sophie. For me, I immediately thought, all right, there's no killer. This is all going to be, one big misunderstanding.
Right.
And So I called it right there. I mean, the reveal was still good. I thought I hoped it would be on the security cam footage because they did talk about the security camera, and they asked, does it still run when the power goes out? But then they never
Right.
went back to it, so I don't feel like why would you mention it if you don't go back to it once again,
Yeah.
analyzing films like a writer. Like
Hmm.
it didn't make sense to even bring it up if you're not going to go back to
Right.
it.
Sure.
Um, so I think that would have been maybe a little bit better of a reveal. Like the cops show up and they drive the girls away, and then it goes back to the house, and they're in the security room watching the security footage of Pete Davidson kill himself, and they're just like shaking their head like, what a fucking idiot, like
Yeah.
that. I
That would
think
have been
that
good.
that might have been a better reveal than somehow finding his phone in the mud because they were fighting over her phone. Like it
Yeah.
just
I
it
mean,
just it just seemed like a little weak.
yeah, suspension of disbelief is a little bit strong there because of the phone sitting outside throughout a hurricane, and that's kind of like questionable that they would find it after blah blah
Yeah,
blah. But the only way that you get the acknowledgement on their faces that they didn't need to do any of this is by
yeah.
them seeing the footage, and so
That's
their
true. That's
shock
true.
that they like that B killed someone that they both
That's they
assisted in killing Jordan,
Yeah.
you know,
Well, that.
so they've got
Oh,
blood on their hands.
was it? I think it was Alice who revealed that she was giving Emma makeup, and Emma fell down the stairs.
No, Sophie did that at the
Oh,
end.
Sophie did that. So
Sophie confides because she gave her
to
the
B.
Xanax, and she thinks that to be, just to like kind of like goodwill, like don't look at the
Right.
text or I'm good. I didn't do anything bad. I think that I did this to her. I want to confide in you and like
Yeah.
apologize for it.
Right. Right.
So she feels responsible that she took the Xannies and got so fucked up that she tripped and fell down the stairs, and she knows
Right.
that that happened. She's the last to show up on scene after that occurs. Alice
Right.
finds her, B comes down the stairs, and then she comes from the different side. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, they have this look where they see the footage on the phone, and they're just like in disbelief. And then Max shows back up, and he's confused. The fountains turn back on because power's restored, and he's
Right.
like,
Oh yeah,
"What?
Max.
What happened?"
and then B says my or B says I have service or
Yeah,
something like that. Yeah. And that's the end of the movie. I mean, so, it was fun. I just I
you
just could
calling it
I just
really ruined a lot of the fun, I think, for you,
for me
unfortunately.
probably. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Yeah, yeah, probably. I mean, it's just
yeah,
it's honestly it's probably just the difference between the 6 and the 7 though. Like I just I think I needed a bigger body count. I think I needed less kills off screen. Okay,
sure.
so they call it a slasher, and I called it slasher-esque in that there is no killer.
Right, yeah, because it's not
Um,
really a slasher.
and then it's not
People
really
die,
it's
but
definitely not really a slasher because the kills aren't staged either,
well,
right?
and
Like that's
again,
another.
like it's like whether it's slashers or giallos, you don't ever get you don't see the killer doing the thing. It's just
Yeah,
someone shows up, like you said, someone shows up with a wound or dead,
yeah,
and so it isn't a slasher in that way. It's a horror movie in that it's dealing with these kinds of things, but it's not even then. It's not fair 100% because
yeah,
it's the genre, but it's very light in the scare department. It's just meant to be more of a dialogue or conversation or
yeah,
critique of that art form and
yeah. I
how
mean,
can they do it in a creative way.
it's definitely tense. There's a little suspense. The use of darkness, I think, is probably its shining achievement. Between that and the dialogue, being so snappy and so realistic, um,
Yeah.
I think those are its two biggest achievements. Um, yeah. In summation, go see Bodies, Bodies, Bodies. It was a good movie. 6 out of 10.
Yeah, I gave it a 7. It's definitely worth going. If when you're watching this movie, you got to try to focus on the dialogue, the conversations that are occurring, the way that's all written and shot, is what's most engaging about this film. The way that how cruel they are to one another, and then how they end up meeting their own demise from being such shitty human beings was what's so entertaining about this. And so
Oh yeah. Okay.
yeah,
All
Man,
right.
so, it's funny, there was a few, things that came up after Bodies Bodies. I remember I mentioned it at least a week ago, it could've been a couple weeks ago, where, the chick that plays Sophie, uh, Amanda Sternberg, she was the one that kind of had that back and forth with the New York Times critic, and the New York Times critic is the one that pretty much is a Times critic because her father owns the paper or
Right,
is
right.
a lead part of the paper. Like, that happened with this whole thing. Um, but I remember the Amanda Sternberg was saying like, "Oh, you're too busy looking at my tits during the whole movie," and so like when I was watching this, I had that in my back of my head, and I was like, "Oh, we're gonna see some tits in this," and then I was like, "There's no tits in this. She's just kind of like wearing a top that has a little bit of her flat chest sticking out of it." Okay, I mean, it was interesting. I don't know the way that actors and actresses kind of personify or take on this mantle of fame, and when people are after them or don't like what they're doing, they kind of internalize it and turn it into this weird type of thing. And that was a weird little thing that happened. But at any
Yeah,
rate, it's a good movie.
yeah.
It was something weird that happened. So the only other thing before we get into the other horror news, this was A24, yeah.
Yep.
Uh, to lead into horror news, I want to just mention um, A24 has apparently optioned or will be releasing the next feature film for director Jane Schoenburn, who is the director of our Razzie nominated "We're All Going to the World's Fair."
Oh,
And so I mentioned that to you a little while ago, that I'm concerned uh, because we both did not like that movie. I think I was much harder on it,
yes,
but
you
it was
were.
not a positively reviewed movie. And I can see, so here's the thing, here's ultimately how I feel. It's A24, so I feel more um not protective, but I trust them to show me a good film, you know.
Right.
It's going to it's going to impress me in this, that, or the other way more than a film that's just like The Black Phone. I didn't go into with the expectations that I did with any other A24 film. It's like you expect a certain kind of film with A24.
Sure.
Now that this other director is attached to it, writer and director Jane Schoenbrunn, um, highly suspect of their intentions because of how I feel about this director and writer. And so I think that the ideas in World's Fair were good and interesting. I think the execution was poor. The way that that film was executed is the antithesis of what an A24 film is and looks like. You know what I mean?
Sure, sure.
So there's a lot of heavy hitters attached to this film. Now I said heavy hitters, but I will acquiesce. Fred Durst, I think, is a part of this film. Um, from Limp Bizkit.
Oh, I know
There's
who
all
Fred
kinds of
Durst
people.
is.
Yeah, I know, I know. Just for any viewers, any of our listeners that might not be aware, Fred Durst, the lead star of Limp Bizkit, the chocolate starfish and or hot dog flavored water, Fred Durst. So I just don't know how to feel about it. I trust A24, but I definitely do not trust this writer director, and I'm interested to see what comes out.
Sure.
But I'm more concerned because I don't want this to be a turning point where A24 I can no longer respect. I I dislike this writer director that much. I'm sorry to say.
Okay. I'll watch the movie and we'll see.
Yes, of course. And I'll be optimistic. I will be optimistic. But not saying that this is indicative, but we're all going to the World's Fair. It has a 90% on Tomato Meter. I happen to believe that's critics unifying and saying, you know what, we need to defend this movie because of what it is and what it stands for. That's my perspective.
Okay.
The audience score is a 34. Such poorer.
Yeah.
on that, I think you guys know where you would fall if you were to watch this film,
I
and
think
you would be right.
I think that feels a lot better, a lot closer to correct the audience score there.
Yes,
Personally.
sure.
Although
So that was my little
I
thing as
wasn't
far as the news,
I
the
wasn't so
A24.
hard on it. I wasn't so hard on it, but
Yeah.
I still think that that I mean it wasn't great.
It's a very it's the way that I described it to other people out in the universe is that it's there's interesting themes and ideas, but you are doing all of the work as the viewer. It's very stripped down, very
Yeah.
hard to look at. It has no cinematography that's done in such a way to put you somewhere and to give you an experience. It's like as if Blair Witch was done even shittier than it already looked, with no artistic ability put into how things were framed or shot or done. It's even worse than that, and that was hard to watch
Right.
sometimes because it was so disinteresting, but there was interesting things going on in the background. Hello, McFly. It had all kinds of other things going for it. You can't just make it hard to watch and uninteresting to watch, and that's what World's Fair is to me, in my
Right.
opinion. So
Sure.
the only other thing, A24, Pearl, obviously, and then The Whale with Brendan Fraser is going to be coming out,
Oh yeah.
and
There
then
it's
and
a
then this,
full-on drama.
yeah, and he's huge. It's going to
Yeah.
be very interesting because he's a treasure,
Oh yeah.
and can't
I'm
wait.
very
So
excited about the whale.
yeah,
All right, guys. We're gonna do something we have never done before. Um,
DP.
the time for the DVDA shot. Okay. All right. Somebody on the internet compiled the 31 days of Halloween watch list for all of your
Am I
streaming.
pulling this up on my phone?
You can if you like. It's in our Facebook chat. If you want to just go there and you can get
Oh shit!
all 6 images right from there.
Join us live on Facebook/PodRec Deceased,
That's right.
or
So
wherever Facebook podcasts are sold.
we're gonna do you all a favor, as there are six of
Y'all,
there are 6 of these. 31 days to Halloween movie watch lists for 6 different streaming services. That means 186 movies, 6 movies a day. You can't watch 6 movies a day. So we're going to compare all the number
oh, I
ones and
can.
pick the one you should watch. Then we're going to compare all the number twos and pick the one
When
you
you
should
say number
watch.
twos, you mean that day of the month?
Yeah. So
Okay, absolutely.
we're
Let's.
gonna pick our
Whew.
the podcast for the recently deceased 31 Days of Halloween watch list. I'm gonna keep track of it. We're gonna publish this thing probably tomorrow. Um, but we're gonna discuss it live. I have not looked at any of these for more than a second, so a lot of this is gonna be new information, exciting stuff. And
Now
you
I
can join
will
right
just
along with us. I'm
bend
gonna
your
go to the
ear.
Netflix one first.
We have a Facebook group. I'm trying to find it. I can't
No, no,
find the
it's in our Facebook chat, brah.
Oh,
Chat.
our chat. I thought I was like, I went to Facebook. What a dick.
Like
Yeah, I know it's in our
you
chat.
and me chatting when I sent you
By
the
the way, just so you
photos.
know, that's called Messenger.
Yeah, it's a messenger chat.
Yeah. You'll also notice I screenshotted my hefty in there. All
Okay.
right. And this is going to be hard to go through, but let's go.
Yeah,
So,
let's go. We're gonna go as fast as we can because there's a lot of information here.
October
All
1st.
right, October 1st. Netflix says
Well, don't even have to go.
Hellfest. Hellfest. No, it's definitely not Hellfest. Why do I keep doing this? All right.
Oh my god.
Shutter says The House of the Devil. All right, whatever, Shutter. You're wrong. Uh, oops. HBO Max says Malignant. Well,
It's done. You
you
saw I
guys.
saw him like
I,
then the
all
thing was
right,
done.
all right. No,
I
it's
hey,
not. It's not. We have to talk. We have to talk because I've seen something else. If you go to Hulu, it's Elvira, Mistress of the Dark, which is a classic, but definitely you can skip it. But Amazon Prime. Amazon
what?
Prime, what did you do? Slither.
Slither? No.
Slither. All right. And then Tubi. I don't even know what Tubi is. But it's
It's
on here.
Tubi has ads. It's
And
not
it's
good.
and it's House of Wax, so I mean House of Wax another classic, but we're definitely gonna skip
Very
it.
good.
I love Slither to death. It's got Nathan Fillion in it. It's got Michael Rooker, Elizabeth Banks. The movie is phenomenal. I probably would give it a 9 if it came out today, but I gotta give it to my boy James Wan and
Okay.
Malignant, right? Malignant.
Whichever, yeah, whichever one you haven't seen, but really, *Malignant* is the better film.
Oh yeah.
That's an easy one. *House of the Devil*, very, very close second, extremely close second. *House of the Devil* is excellent. Ty West film,
All
very
right.
good throwback. All
All
right,
right.
two,
Day
come
2.
from Prime Video. *I See You*, from HBO Max. *The Blob*, Netflix. *Cam*, fuck that is. Shutter, Carrie, Tubi, The Changeling, Hulu, Bad Hair. Wow.
Okay, I think this is a
Uh,
pretty easy one with the Blob. This is the
is it
1980s
the '80s
remake.
Blob?
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
then
the '80s remake.
absolutely then.
I'm fairly certain this is one. The effects for the year this came out, the gore in this movie was incredible. Yeah,
Very fun.
absolutely.
There's a lot of really cool, interesting traditional camera trickery here. There's a lot of matte paintings and forced perspective,
Oh yeah,
and like retreating, reverse camera footage to do certain camera tricks with the Blob doing things. It's great. Also, I always remember the shot of the girl's cleavage and the Blob like just like taking her over, where the guy's like wants to like feel her up. That to me that was like seminal moment because it was like youth when I was
yeah.
just getting into
When
girls,
the
and I was
when the
like, oh my god.
when the Blob attacks the hospital, oh my, it's one of the best scenes ever in horror. It's so good,
All
so
right,
good. Okay,
October 3rd. Choices
Netflix.
are, yeah, go for it.
All right, Netflix Apostle. I think that's gonna win, but let's keep going. Shutter, The Mortuary Collection, HBO Max, 28 Days Later. That's a good one. Hulu, It. I'm assuming the remake. Prime, The
Doesn't
Fog,
matter. They all suck.
and Tubi, Dark Knight of the Scarecrow. Well, that's hands down Apostle. If you have not seen it, oh my, are you missing a great movie? Um,
I will admit I haven't seen Apostle,
okay, well, you need to watch it.
so
It came out in
I would
2008.
give. I
Came
would say
out to
28 Days Later if you
Yeah.
haven't. Yeah.
Came out in 2018, starring Dan Stevens. His sister gets abducted by a cult, and the cult sends a ransom to the father.
Spoiler alert.
The father's like, nah, I don't think so. I'm not paying this ransom. It's just a stupid woman. And
What about the son?
so the brother, Dan Stevens, goes undercover,
He's a
joins the cult to find her and get her
oh,
out of there. And this movie is so fucking good. I was blown away by it. Completely blown
okay.
away. This movie's not A24, but it should have been. That's how good
Okay.
it is.
I'm glad you just described the whole movie. I have no point in watching it now.
That
All
is
right,
literally
day 4, The
5
Taking of
minutes.
Deborah Logan from Prime Video. HBO Max, Event Horizon, overrated. Netflix, Sweetheart, Shutter, The Haunting, Tubi, Cooties, Hulu, In the Earth. Whew, that's
Of,
a bit of a mixed bag there.
of
Cooties, possibly not
Event
great.
Horizon.
Yeah, Event Horizon, but I'm telling you, it's not great.
He's absolutely lying. This has Dr. Grant from Jurassic Park,
Did you
Larry
did you like
Fishburne.
did you like the scene where Morpheus was suffering from the mental decay that that agents were putting on him, and he was trying to break free from his chains? Do you like the way that he looked in that scene? Okay, watch a movie where he does that face for an hour. Okay, that's what you're gonna get. October 5th.
October 5th. Netflix. Fear Street, 1994. Shutter. Stage Fright. HBO Max. House. Hulu. The Ring. Prime. House on Haunted Hill. And Tubi. The Exorcist 3. I think this might be the first difficult one. What do you think?
Um, I'll give it to Flip.
Ooh,
I kind of want to say House just
I
for its
like
traditional.
House. I like House. Fear Street 1994. I would.
Although if you've never seen The Ring, you should watch The Ring.
Yeah, The Ring. The Ring is probably the best movie.
If you haven't seen it, you should watch
Yeah,
that one.
yeah.
That's just
I don't know. The Ring, The House. I would give it to Fear Street the trilogy. I don't think that they should have
yeah, I know.
separated
I
them.
mean, just one. Well, I
I
mean,
see
it
that they're
has
all
to.
over the thing,
It's
but
three flipping movies, dude. Jesus.
1994 was the
All right,
best of them.
let's move on. Let's go into
Wait,
the
well,
ring.
hold on. I gotta write something down. The Ring. It's The Ring. All right,
The ring. Yes.
it's The
Okay.
Ring.
The
Okay,
six. I'm gonna get to it. I'm going in a different order because I'm looking at the screenshots that you sent me,
sure,
and they're in the
sure.
order that I'm listing. So you're
That's
doing
fine.
your own fucking
Well,
thing.
you just say the name for say the service first, and I'll click through. Don't worry about
The following streaming service, Prime Video.
Prime.
On the sixth, Prime Video. Daniel isn't real.
Okay.
HBO Max. It. The sixth, right? It. Doesn't
Yep.
someone else already have it? Fucking
Yeah.
morons.
Earlier. Yeah.
Netflix. There's someone inside your house. Shudder. VHS 94. Tubi. Orphan. Ugh. Hulu. Pie Wacket, which I haven't yet seen and I want to see. Pie Wacket is it for me. Definitely not Orphan. VHS 94 is very good.
It's
Someone inside
got
your house. I don't know it. It's
it's
don't do it. Daniel
it's
isn't real. No.
it's definitely got
It's
to be
gonna.
it's got to be Orphan. Just
Okay.
because I think
It's
we both
Orphan.
haven't seen Pyewacket, right?
No,
Um,
we haven't. It's from a director that I wanted to see.
I would say
And
I will take a moment to say that There's Something Inside Your House is one of the worst movies I've ever seen. Netflix should be ashamed that they
oh yeah, this is the
produced
one
it.
where it's like there's something inside your house, but you said that's only
It's
inside a
only
house for
it's
like
only the
5 minutes.
it's only the first kill of the movie. The rest of the movie takes place like in the school and outdoors in
Uh,
a corn maze, and it was terrible. It was woke garbage, and when I say woke garbage, I mean it's wokeness shoved down your throat, not done subtly,
uh,
correctly. It is
no
this.
means no, motherfucker.
Yeah, this is a movie for tweens. Um,
Okay.
moving
Okay, so
on.
we're going with Orphan for the 6th of
Yes.
October.
All right. Netflix day 7. Alive, or is that hashtag alive? I can't really tell.
Yes. Hashtag
Uh,
alive. Hashtag pass.
Shudder,
Shutter.
Demons,
Demons.
HBO Max, The Return of the Living Dead. I think that's where I'm gonna land.
Classic.
Train to Busan though. That's a good
I
one.
know.
Last Shift, and Tubi.
I'm gonna point out that
Stir
you
of
didn't fucking
Echoes.
say Hulu whenever you said Train to Busan. You just said the movie. So
Uh,
the whole say the streaming service and then say the movie. You fucking blew
well,
it
it's
there,
it's
buddy.
just for you, so I can, or for me, so I can click through the slides I have.
Oh, so it was selfish. So whenever you needed the courtesy, you
No,
you were extended it
the
by
view
me.
the
But
the view-
whenever it's for me,
it's
I didn't get to.
it's a courtesy for the viewer, so they
The
can see
viewer
the.
doesn't give a fuck. The viewer is not listening. The viewer's gonna look at the list. They're gonna be like, "Oh, I don't have to listen to this garbage."
All right.
Busan is amazing. Return of the Living Dead is amazing. They're two very different zombie genre movies.
Yeah, I
Oh, you don't
almost.
like Return of the Living Dead?
So no, I love Return of the Living Dead. This is almost like a tie.
But I mean, I think it. I mean,
I want
you
to give
should
it
have
to.
already seen Return,
I
so
want to
I
give
want to
it
say
to.
Train to Busan.
Yeah, if you haven't seen Return, watch Return. If you haven't seen Busan, watch Busan. We're gonna give it to Train to Busan.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, October 8th from Prime Video, Parents. From HBO Max, Eyes Without a Face. From Netflix, Under the Shadow. From Shudder, Zombie 2. From Tubi, Gonjiam, Haunted Asylum. From Hulu, Unsane. I think this might be your night off, guys.
I haven't seen a
Um,
single one of these movies.
yeah, I don't think I have either. Yeah, I haven't. I don't know how to
I
direct you.
haven't seen a
Unsane, I don't think is going to be
single.
good. This other
No.
one, probably not. Zombie 2, I would say probably is the safest bet. Eyes Without a Face, though, I feel like I've heard a lot more about.
Okay. All right. All right. Well, Parents is a foreign film, so it's probably the best of the six.
That is the most insane thing you've said all night. But but you're saying a noun and a gremlin. Fuck it. It's
Fuck
in
it,
the
it's in
movie.
the movie. I'm not saying it's definitely in the movie, but it's definitely in the movie.
The
Next.
Hulkster is in the movie.
Okay.
October 9th, where we at?
October 9th, here we go. Gerald's Game on Netflix, on Shudder, Maniac on HBO Max, 13 Ghosts on Hulu, The House That It's Cut Off built on Prime,
Jack built.
Invasion of the Body Snatchers on Tubi, Troll Hunter.
I'm gonna give it to True Hunter.
Okay, there's a lot of good ones here, though. I really enjoyed the Gerald's Game
Also,
remake.
you meant with Hulu, it's The Vigil.
Oh, I did mean the Vigil. Okay, all right. With
Yeah, it's
Hulu, it's the
okay.
Vigil.
13
Ooh,
Ghosts is a good 90s one, but it's not a good movie, I don't think.
yeah,
Body
it's definitely
Snatchers
not.
is a classic, but I think Troll Hunter is the most unique, fun one to watch here.
Troll Hunter is a great movie. I don't know how horror it is. I have to give it to
It's not very horror. It's
um,
not.
I have to give it to the Gerald's Game remake
Okay,
from
I'm fine with it.
Netflix.
All right, do it. Gerald's Game, October 9th. That's what you're watching. All right,
Is it ninth?
October 10th.
Is it the ninth? What did we
Yes,
pick for the eighth? Nothing.
Parents, because it was
Oh,
foreign.
parents, 'cause it's for it. All
Okay,
right.
October 10th from Prime Video, Jennifer's Body. From HBO Max, The Brood. From Netflix, Fear Street, 1978. From Shudder, A Bay of Blood. Tubi, The Texas Chainsaw Massacre. This is two words, chainsaw. So I believe they mean the original. And Hulu, The House That Jack Built. The original Texas Chainsaw
Texas.
is got to be it.
It's got to be Texas, right?
Brood is very good. Fear Street 78 was very good.
Yes.
All right, give us to
Uh,
October 11th, Nate.
all right. October 11th from Netflix is Creep. I think we can stop there. It's Creep. But I'll move on. Shudder. The Taking of Deborah Logan. HBO Max. Eraserhead. Oh, nice. Some David Lynch in there. Hulu. Black Swan. That was an Aronofsky overrated movie. Prime Video. The Ruins. And Tubi. Queen of
Fun.
the Damned, which is absolute garbage and doesn't belong on any list. I stand by my original decision of Creep.
All right,
Um,
Black Swan is very well done movie. Maybe not 100% horror. Very good. If you have a thing for what's her face, it's very good. Deborah Logan, a very good mockumentary type movie, found footage type movie. Um, Eraserhead classic at the Ruins, very fun 2000s genre movie. But I acquiesce to your recommendation.
I appreciate that. I'm gonna give you a couple too. Don't worry. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'm actually just very passionate about Creep, and if you haven't seen
Okay.
it, you really have to put Creep on
Yeah.
your list.
No, it's fair. I just want to give like the little asterisks with why not these ones because they are still watchable.
Right.
The 12th. Okay. Prime Video, Hellraiser, HBO Max, The Mummy. I I would hope to pray that it's fucking Brendan Fraser, but I know it's Tom Cruise, so fuck you, HBO Max. Netflix, Veronica, The Changeling, Shudder, Tubi, Bad Moon, Hulu, Super Dark Times. Yeesh. Do not give Tom Cruise any money. Just go watch Top Gun Maverick. Hellraiser has to be the one, right? This is classic
I
night.
yeah yeah I think it's Hellraiser absolutely. And
The
if you're gonna
Changeling is good,
the Changeling is good. It
but
is Glenn Scott, right?
no.
I think it's Glenn Scott is his name.
But watch watch Hellraiser because David Bruckner's re-envisioning of
Oh,
the Hellraiser story is
right.
coming out this fall, and you want to be prepared by watching Hellraiser.
George
Enough said.
C. Scott is the main actor in the Changeling. Um, and okay, and do yourself a favor if you watch Hellraiser 1, watch Hellraiser 2 right after it. You might as well watch these two movies together as a single film. The second movie literally picks up seconds after the first one ends, and they're so great to watch together. Um, all right, sorry about that. Moving on. Is this me?
October 13th.
The Ritual from Netflix, Shudder, Handy, HBO
Mandy,
Max, Night.
Mandy,
Oh, is
starring
that
Nick
Mandy?
Cage.
Oh, it's Mandy. Okay.
Mandy. Candy is not a movie.
It's just something I wish I had. HBO Max, Night of the Living Dead. I'm assuming that's the original. Hulu, Friday the 13th, Final Chapter. Prime Video, The Collector. Tubi, Housebound.
Tubi's so fucking stupid.
Tubi's really bad.
And then did you do Hulu Friday the 13th, the final chapter? Oh Christ,
I did
that's
say that. I think it's Mandy. Uh,
I mean, I'll allow it, but classic Night of the Living Dead if you haven't seen it. The Collector is wonderful.
right.
And
The
the
only reason
collection
I'm
is
not
also good.
the only reason I'm not saying the collector is because I haven't seen those two movies, and
Sure.
I know that
Sure.
I have to. Yeah,
Yeah. Okay. So the ritual or no Mandy is what you're saying.
I think
Okay.
Mandy. Yeah.
All right. The 14th brings us to Prime Video. I Know What You Did Last Summer. HBO Max, The Craft, Netflix, Ghost Lab, Shudder, Sleepaway Camp, Tubi, Children of the Corn, Hulu, Crawl. Interesting mix here. But I think that it's I want to say The Craft. These are all older
Oh,
films or not great films. Last Summer is a
uh,
classic in the 90s sense,
I I
and
I,
Jennifer Love Hewitt, sure.
I love
But The
Sleepaway
Craft
Camp.
is older classic. See, yeah, but I mean, it's a different kind of classic.
Yeah,
It's
it's got
fine.
that twist ending is
It's,
I thought was great.
and it, yeah, and it's got the poster that everyone knows with the shoe and the knife and the stabbing of it.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah.
children, hey, you want to see Christopher Reeve before he fucking paralyzed himself by
Uh,
doing a dumb fucking equestrian activity? Go watch Children of the Corn.
how about this? Uh, October 14th, we call an audible.
Oh,
Halloween
and we all watch Halloween Ends.
Halloween ends because it's on streaming.
Ends.
Halloween ends because it's on fucking streaming. Duh.
Oh, right, Peacock Plus. Let's
Peacock,
add
yeah.
Peacock to the mix, motherfuckers.
All right.
Fair enough.
Back to me, the 15th. Fear
Get
Street,
out of the house.
1666 from Netflix. Shutter's telling me
Shh.
anything for Jackson. HBO Max, Final Destination 3, which has it stars what's her name?
Wait, we don't. Dude, I've already seen what Prime is doing. You just jump to Prime and
Just
we're
all
done.
right. Hulu as the possessor. That movie was not good. Oh, Midsummer. Yeah, it's Midsummer. Sorry guys. Nice try.
Ari Aster, Midsummer, Amazon Prime. Beware the Ides of October. They bring you Midsummer from Ari Aster, and it's
Oh
amazing.
oh my God, what a great movie. It has the most disturbing uh like not even first act, I would call it like a preface that a movie has ever had.
All right, the 16th from Prime Video, The Neon Demon, HBO Max, Freddy vs. Jason, Netflix, The Killing of the Sacred Deer, Shutter, Pieces, Tubi, Eden Lake, Hulu, Southbound. Man,
Whew,
Eden Lake, wonderful. Um, Awesome.
this is a
Killing of the
tough one.
Sacred Deer, I haven't yet seen, but it's A24, and I know I need to see it. Freddy vs. Jason is just schlock, and so you can watch it whenever. Neon Demon, too artsy, probably, but not great. Excuse me. So for me, it's Eden Lake.
All right, let's do
That
it.
for me.
Eden Lake.
All right.
Well, I'm gonna like I
You
said,
haven't
I
seen it,
got
Eden Lake? You haven't seen Eden Lake?
I haven't seen it, but I got to concede a
Oh,
couple of
good.
these to you. I'll
Yes.
tell you right now, The Killing of the Sacred Deer is a phenomenal movie. It is not a horror
Okay.
movie and does not belong
Okay.
on these lists.
Eden Lake is a horror movie. Eden Lake, if you are in a relationship and you have ever been in an uncomfortable situation where you had a fight or flight response, or you're wondering how you would handle a situation like that, and you're in a relationship, this movie will put your fucking nerves on edge, and it will jab those nerves the whole entire movie all the way to the end, and you will not feel good after watching this movie.
Okay. Well, I'm excited.
The 17th.
The 17th, Netflix says Nobody Sleeps in the Woods Tonight. That movie sucked.
Nobody watched this movie tonight.
Shutter says The Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and that is spelt like the original as well.
Okay.
HBO Max, The Amityville Horror, original or remake, who cares? 17th, Happy Death Day. Prime Hatchet. Hatchet is kind of a classic. To Be the
It is.
Awakening. I gotta go with Happy Death Day if you haven't seen
Happy
it.
Death Day or Hatchet. To be honest, I would say Hatchet is more enjoyable to watch, but Happy Death Day is newer and unique and fun. It's Groundhog's Day
It's
meets the slasher genre.
Yeah, so Groundhog's Day horror seems like why hasn't this been done before? And they did it, and it was fucking awesome.
Yeah, it
So
was
good job,
hilarious,
guys.
and the lead actress is wonderful. She
Oh,
sells
she
it.
was great.
She's perfect. She's pitch perfect in the movie. All
Absolutely.
right, the 18th, Prime Video, Sorority Row, HBO Max, Ouija, Origin of Evil, past Netflix, The Strangers, Shudder, Hellraiser. I've already seen it, or yes, we've already seen it.
Yeah.
Tubi, Candyman, I imagine original. Hulu, The Lodge. I don't know. Is Tubi has to be the original. I can't imagine if it's the new one. If it's the
Yeah.
new one, watch that. Um, Otherwise, you've already seen Hellraiser. Oof. I mean, The Strangers is really a modern classic.
Yeah. The Strangers
It's terrifying.
is insanely good. Candyman also. I think we go with The Strangers here just because it's
Yeah.
scarier, right?
Yeah,
You
I've
know.
only seen it the one time, but that was enough. I mean, it's a lasting image. It's a home invasion that will keep you on the edge of your seat, and the tension your nerves will be
Oh yeah.
much like Eden Lake, you will be
Frayed.
racked at the end of this movie. Yeah.
Frayed by the end of the movie. Absolutely. Netflix on the 19th. No One Gets Out Alive. Shutter. Tenebrae.
Tenebrae.
Yeah. HBO. Is it? Am I on the 19th? Yeah. The
Yes.
Shining. All right. HBO Max. Um, Sleepwalkers on Hulu. Phantasm on Prime Video. And Piranha on Tubi. I think I have to give this to Phantasm.
Yes, Phantasm. If for no other reason other than to prepare you for the amazing 80s quality of Phantasm 2. Phantasm sets the stage. Phantasm 2 knocks it out of the park with 80s B movie type aspects that are just beautiful.
I love,
Phantasm. All
yeah,
right.
Phantasm.
20th of October from Prime Video, we need to talk about Kevin. HBO Max. Cursed. Is that The Cursed or just Cursed? I
Just
don't know.
cursed.
Netflix. Night Teeth, Shudder, Poltergeist, Tubi, American Mary, Hulu, Don't Breathe. Don't Breathe is a great new movie. Uh,
But
we need to talk about
Poltergeist,
Kevin is worth watching, but Poltergeist classic. Watch Poltergeist on October 20th, hands down.
Poltergeist, one of the greatest horror
Brought to you by
movies ever
Shudder.
made. Just, yeah, just watch that. That was 20.
Yes, no,
So
that was 20.
that was 20. All right.
What the fuck is going on with Prime Video's thing? The image from Prime Video has two movies for the 20th. These fucking morons.
October 21st from Netflix, Blood Red Sky. Okay, I really did like that. I gave it a an honorable
It
mention
was in
last
your
year.
top five.
Yeah.
No, it was
Oh
in
no,
your top five.
it wasn't in my top five, was it? I thought I honorable
I thought
mentioned
it
it.
was.
Anyway, Basket Case from Shudder, HBO Max, Scream, Hulu, The Clove Hitch Killer, Prime, The Dead Zone. But oh wait, there were two movies for the 20th. Suspiria. I don't know if that's the original. Oh, that's got to be the remake because it's Prime Video.
It has to be. Yeah, it's Prime Video.
And Tubi, Clown.
Scream, hands down. Yeah,
It's just Scream. Yeah. If it's the first one or Scream 5, it doesn't matter. Just watch it. Just watch it.
it's. I'm sure it's the first one. All right, the 22nd of October, Prime Video, The Host. Ooh. HBO Max, The Empty Man. Netflix, The Conjuring. Shudder, Tourist Trap, Tubi, Day of the Dead, Hulu, A Quiet Place. Oh, very interesting. A Quiet
Ooh.
Place is good. There's a franchise there that they're going to continue. That's worth catching up on if you haven't started it already. The Conjuring, same goes. And the first
Tubi
one is
Day.
probably the best. But the host is also an amazing foreign monster film, and so it's whatever
What
dealer's
about
choice here.
Day of the Dead? I mean, is that the original or the remake? It doesn't matter. They were both great.
Yeah, that's a good point. I kind of well, wait, the 22nd. What Day
That's
of the Dead?
Tubi.
Tubi? Oh, right. Okay, it's got ads, but yes, it's also great. Romero.
So I don't know, man. I mean, you call it.
That's a tough one.
It's your day.
Ugh. All right, we're gonna do Day of the Dead.
Day of the Dead.
Yeah,
Doesn't matter if
classic.
it's the
Because
remake of the original.
we didn't give love to Return of the Living Dead, which again was not Romero. It was his counterpart, Bannon. So let's move on. 23rd.
The 23rd from Netflix, The Conjuring 2. From Shudder, Society, HBO Max, Diabolique, Hulu, Your Next, Prime Video, The Loved Ones, and Tubi, Sleepaway Camp. Ooh, second chance for Sleepaway Camp. But no, oh man, The Conjuring 2, which was the best of the three, not Conjuring 1. And hold on, did somebody say Society? Oh my god. Oh, I really want to give this to Society. Have you seen it?
I No, I haven't, but I have seen The Loved Ones, which I'm assuming you haven't because it's not part of your conversation. The Loved
No,
Ones is
it's
great.
not. The Loved One is great too. This is the hardest day of the month so far.
The Loved Ones
Uh
is a Australian, I believe, made Carrie-esque type movie.
oh, sure, sure. Society is about rich people having, oh god, it's a flesh orgy where they
Ooh.
absorb into each other. It's really disgusting and awesome. It's 80s practical effects. I mean, it's not a good movie
Your
in
next is
any way.
also a newer slasher that was fantastic.
All right, all right. I'm just gonna give it to Conjuring 2,
Uh,
cause you know,
Vera Farmiga has your dick in a
yeah,
vice, and
she
you
does.
have yes.
Sorry, sorry.
All
This is how
right,
it
the
is.
24th from Prime Video, The Wailing from HBO Max, Firestarter. If it's the first or the second, fuck them both. From Netflix, Hush. From Shudder, Terrified. From Tubi, May. And from Hulu, The Shallows. No Shallows, no May. Terrified, no thank you. Hush is a strong contender. Firestarter, obviously not. And The Wailing, so I'm going to give it to Hush.
It's got to be Hush.
Yes.
It's got to be Hush. The deaf woman home invasion movie. I prefer the blind guy home invasion movie of Don't Breathe, but you know. Okay, what are we up to? The 25th? 25th.
25th.
Netflix on the 25th is The Perfection. Shudder. Daniel isn't real. That's his second chance. HBO Max Freaky. Hulu Come True. Prime The
Ooh.
Lighthouse. Tubi Nightbreed. Oh my God! To put all these up against Come True, I know Rodney's chomping at the bit. We're just gonna put Come True on the list just to make you watch it. I
Like
would
I'm telling you.
definitely say check out Nightbreed if you haven't. It's a classic. The Lighthouse was very
Yes.
good from the guy who did The Witch,
Yes.
and Freaky um, is if
Robert Eggers is stirring in his grave.
yeah. So uh,
He's alive and
as
well.
as as we said, a Happy Death Day was the Groundhog Day
Yeah, this is a
of
very tough
horror.
day.
Freaky is the Freaky Friday, the body switch
Yeah.
of horror,
Yeah.
and definitely worth the watch if you haven't seen it.
But let's be Vince Vaughn is you can only take so much. Come True. Here's the thing that shocks me about Come True. The director, Anthony Scott Burns, aka Pilot Priest, aka he did the fucking score with Electronic Youth in this movie. This movie was made so small. Few people were a part of making this movie, and it looks like a goddamn not a blockbuster, but it looks like it has millions upon millions and millions of dollars behind it because it's so artistically thorough. It would have been my number one movie had I seen it in time for last year. It might have beat Malignant, I'll be honest, because for me it hits all the right notes. Watch Come True. This dude needs the time and attention. That's so I appreciate you giving me that one. So the 26th from Prime Video, The Wicker Man. I assume the remake, don't know. HBO Max, The Hunger, Netflix, Goosebumps, The Haunted Mask. Wait, no, that I jumped one. Sorry, The Babysitter from Netflix. Shudder, The Wailing again. From Tubi, Raw. Ooh, from Hulu, The Houses October Built. Oh my, Houses October Built for found footage did a very good job. Raw, I haven't seen, but I've heard interesting things.
I mean, it's got to be The Babysitter. Come on, Samara Weaving, nice camp, lots of
Okay. Yeah.
gore. Come on. I mean, you don't have to give it to Samara, but
Alrighty then.
I
No, no,
want you to.
I already heard your fingers touching keys, but I will say, watch How's This October About is a very strong found footage movie that's newer, that is thematically a Halloweeny type movie. We're getting closer to Halloween. It's the 26th of October. You've been to a party or two. You've seen all the shit. You've had all the candy corn, all kinds of candy. You've got a dish
Ooh,
of all the
candy
great
corn.
candies. You're eating it while you're watching the movies. That movie is very fun, very thematic, very appropriate.
All right,
Okay,
I'm very excited for the 27th
27th.
because I think I already saw my choice on accident. The 27th from Netflix will be the Goosebumps, The Haunted Mask. No. Shudder will be Hello Mary Lou Prom Night 2. That movie sucked. Scanners. Scanners is a great movie. It doesn't belong on this list, but it's a great movie. Lights Out from Hulu. I'm going to skip Prime because Prime's the one I'm going to choose. The Gate is from Tubi. And Prime Video, number 27, Pumpkinhead.
Yeah,
Classic.
it's
Lance Henriksen. Oh,
hands down.
man.
Let Bishop take you on an amazing ride, an amazing journey.
Uh,
Let dirt bikes
what do they call it?
haunt
They
you.
called it a modern fairy tale because it's,
Yeah, yeah,
it's
yeah, yeah.
very much like like it's that kind of story. With the supernatural force and there's like bullies and yeah, just really
Yeah,
great and
so like
original.
I wore my Pumpkinhead shirt this weekend when I had my boys, and they're like, "What is that?" Like that. I'm like, they're 5 and 7. We're not watching this movie yet. They apparently have been having a little bit of nightmares after our uh, Ghoulies,
Critters.
Critters, and Tremors weekend. That kind of was a little bit too much, I think, for them. Their mother said, "Let's turn it back a little bit." But they're like, "Well, so what's Pumpkinhead about?" I was like, "Oh, well, this guy is this creature is a like an entity that is summoned to to make the bad guys pay."
Yeah.
Uh, and they're like, "How do they pay?" And, and like they don't know what I mean when I say that. And I'm like, "Oh, they they pay."
Oh, they
Like, and I
pay.
just kept it vague. Like, they're like,
So
"What does
good.
that mean?" And so like I've already whetted their palate here, and when they're of age, I will definitely embrace that one together. All right, we're getting very close here. The
Very close.
28th from Prime Video, Hell House LLC. From HBO Max, Blade. Ooh, from Netflix, Deep Blue Sea. My head is like a shark's fin. Shudder. Audition. Oh my God. Tubi. Suspiria. I hope the original. Hulu. The Final Girls. Holy Jesus, this one's hardest yet.
Wow.
Wow. Um. Oh dear Lord, if it's the original Suspiria,
Uh,
that's amazing. It's
we
probably not.
no, it's got to be.
Uh,
The Suspiria remake is a Prime Video exclusive. Tubi has Suspiria. It's got to be the original.
It's probably the original, which is like one of Giallo Argento's best films. Blade is fun. Hell House LC is fun. Deep Blue Sea is laughably fun. That's LL Cool J that sang that song.
Yeah.
Sam Jackson also great. But
The
Audition is probably the best horror movie in this list.
the Final
If I'm
Girls.
saying
The Final Girls
horror,
was also very good in the horror
Final
comedy
Girls is very
genre.
good. If we're saying tradition horror, true to the genre, Audition, you must watch if you are a horror fan. It
You're
is
giving it to
a
audition.
ticket adventure. I'm giving it to Audition.
Okay.
Suspiria is so close, but it's Audition is newer. Audition is great. Audition is foreign. Audition is to be respected.
Okay. Audition is October 28th. 29th. Netflix. His House. Run's House? Shut Shutter. Pumpkinhead. I almost want to give it to it twice. HBO Max. Nightmare on Elm Street. That's definitely the original. Hulu. Fright Night. Also, I'm gonna guess the original. Prime. The Descent. The Descent. Tubi. Phantasm. Well, Phantasm's already on the list. Oh
Yeah,
my
and I'm
God,
pretty
this
sure Friday
is.
Night is the remake because I'm pretty sure I remember seeing
Uh,
Colin Farrell's
oh
picture
sure.
on
All right.
Hulu.
Well, if Fright Night's the remake, I think this comes down to The Descent or Nightmare on Elm Street. Nightmare on Elm Street, though, I don't know, man. Like I rewatched it, the original, and it's a
Yeah,
comedy. It's a comedy. Like there's nothing
yeah,
there's
yeah.
like nothing scary about it. Like right from the beginning, Wes Craven does not take Freddy Krueger seriously. Like he didn't become
Right.
a joke. He was a joke from the start. So we're gonna go with The Descent.
Wonderful. Hey, woman empowerment, female empowerment, amazing claustrophobic
Oh yeah.
film.
Also talking about darkness, use of darkness
Oh
as
yeah,
we were earlier. Oh yeah.
Charlie Murphy. All right,
That
October 30th,
fuck your
Devil's
couch.
Night. There's a line after that, right? He says, "Fuck your couch," something.
I just said fuck your couch.
October 30th from Prime Video, Monster Squad. Oh my God.
Oh
HBO
my
Max,
god, it's
Carnival of
Monster
Souls,
Squad.
Netflix, Crimson Peak,
Oof.
Shudder, Haunt, Tubi, Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, Hulu, Tragedy Girls. This, I think, is a
Oof.
unfortunate and very easy decision, and it is Monster Squad.
It's straight up Monster Squad. I mean, it's definitely not a horror movie, but man, is it good.
It's
Uh,
enjoyable. Yeah, give yourself look. Halloween is also about being a youth, enjoying. Yes, Wolfman's got nards. This has got
yes,
classic lines.
yes,
This has
Tom.
got Stephen King.
Wolfman has nards.
This has got this has got Stephen King rules. This
Stephen
has
King
the
rules.
Universal
Yeah.
monsters in a 80s movie. You will cry by the end.
It has
It's a
it
wonderful
has
movie.
it has 13-year-olds smoking cigarettes and swearing and looking at porno mags in their treehouse. This movie is way ahead of its time.
Yeah, it's a classic and
uh,
it's worth watching. And Halloween for me, I like movies that put me back in the way I felt growing up, and
oh
Monster
yeah.
Squad does that. Monster Squad puts me back into a comfortable place where I just enjoy the holiday. I think about all the times trick or treating, what I was for Halloween, going on the parades and the floats and dressing up and winning a couple bucks to go do whatever I wanted with. It is a I desperately wish that I had that community that I had as a youth, and it just doesn't happen anymore. You know, people drive by in their cars with their fucking trick or treaters, and they park in front of the house. They let their kids out in their minivan, and then they run back into their goddamn minivan and drive to the next house, and it's a fucking travesty.
It is
Okay, I'll say it here
absolutely.
right now.
It's such bullshit. And here we go. The holiest of holies. The greatest day of the year. October 31st. Netflix. Uh, Insider. It's kind of cut off. Is that?
Insidious.
Oh, Insidious. Insidious. That's a great movie. All right.
Why are you
Uh,
using these cropped images?
all right. I'm not using the cropped images anymore. What's the next one?
Shudder.
Shutter. Shutter says. Hold on. Halloween. I assume the original. Well, let's find out. What's next? HBO Max. The Evil Dead. Oh man.
Oof,
I hope that's not the original. I think it is, because I think the remake's
of
called
course, it's
Evil.
the
Because
original.
the remake's called Evil Dead. The Evil Dead is not a good movie, guys. It's Evil Dead 2 is the first movie in the franchise. The Evil Dead is like a college film. Okay, moving on
Uh, Go on.
to Hulu. Hulu Halloween. Two different services both say Halloween. Prime says House of a Thousand Corpses. I don't give any credence to Rob Zombie. And Tubi says Ginger Snaps. Well, Ginger Snaps is a great movie, but
Yeah,
oh,
these are all qualifiers. Is
so
this Rob Zombie Halloween? If it's Rob Zombie Halloween, run
run
as
for the
fast as you
hills.
can.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it to Halloween, and then we'll give the stipulation
If it's the original.
of original or 2018. Not ever the Rob Zombie, not Rob Zombie. There you go. Okay, so
Yeah.
that is it on Halloween. Watch Halloween, original or 2018.
Uh, We will honorable mention Ginger Snaps. Ginger Snaps is amazing.
Ginger Snaps is amazing. Also, like the only werewolf movie on this entire list. First of all, where's The Haunting? Where's Silver
Oh,
Bullet? What the
I
fuck?
know.
They're The Howling, I mean. Come on.
The American Werewolf in Paris. Where is that? Where is fucking Silver Bullet?
Yeah, oh, Silver Bullet. Come
Where's
on.
Dog Soldiers?
Oh, I love Dog Soldiers. Another
Where
classic.
where is fucking Trick or Treat?
Yeah, how is Trick or Treat not on this list, guys? Whoever's in charge of streaming services.
I want feel good horror movies, and they're doing a disservice. But that was a fun list.
That that was a great
Some
list.
good.
I'm gonna put it together and we'll post it on the Twitter tomorrow if you want to watch our 31 Days of Halloween. I promise you, it's better than all the other ones since we took the best 31 movies.
Yeah. Well, shit, brother. What's going on next week?
Next week is what is the date of next week?
Uh, I don't.
September 6th. So what comes out on September 2nd? Is there something this week?
Pulling up my watch list now. I mean, there's The Watcher, which is a little bit old and has
Uh,
kind of been out for a while.
right, right. But it is on everybody's watch list, so we might, we can save that for the first week. We can't find anything else. We have
Um,
Glorious if we wanna put that on.
yeah,
Yeah, I know you're not that into
yeah, I know.
Glorious. Oh,
She
we
Will
have
has been
Barbarian.
Barbarian. It's gonna be Barbarian,
It's
right? We're
Barbarian. Okay.
hoping it's Barbarian. It's gonna be Barbarian more than likely. It could be a double feature of Barbarian and Watcher. We don't know yet. It
Yeah, I don't
depends.
know. Yeah, Barbarian comes out on the 31st, which is tomorrow. So
Yeah. So we're gonna say Barbarian. And if Barbarian is not of the stuff that we would hope, we might add in The Watcher. The Watcher is not a film that I think warrants a full episode on its own. It's a great film, but we'd be vamping a good bit during that conversation if we're trying to fill a whole evening's worth of conversation.
sure,
So
sure.
I'm going to say conversation one more time, and hopefully Barbarian knocks our socks off. That's what I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to our conversation.
Say that.
Hey, and we're back. Sorry, we have no.
Blah.
Man of the can, get back in that can. Uh,
There's a heat lightning storm going on. It definitely hey, you know what? That's one thing I did want to mention, Nate, before we close. We're concluding here, but I want to point out another one of the asinine aspects of the original Orphan movie.
oh, sure.
Um Thunder snow is a very rare event. There's snowstorms in the beginning of Orphan, early on in the movie, and there's lightning and thunder as if it were the goddamn fucking summer months when rain and thunderstorms actually occur. Thunder snow is very rare, and it doesn't sound like it does in snowy times, okay? Everything is different. So you can't put lightning booms and cracks, but yet snow falling from the sky. That's stupid. Carry on.
Okay. Well, thank you for that, Rodney. With that, I think we'll wrap episode 5, Bodies, 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 and the 31 Days to Halloween watch list, brought to you by the only two guys in horror who know what they're talking about that have never made a movie of their own, me and Rodney. Uh,
Okay. Now, you've never made a movie. You didn't do a your own like movie with your friends or anything.
well, I mean,
I've made a movie. I've been a lead actor in a movie. Did
I've
you know this?
oh, I didn't know that, but I guess I shot like a sketch, a couple sketches back in the day.
I was the lead in a film, a low budget indie film that was written by an ex,
Oh,
and and I recorded the audio track for the trailer and everything. I might link it, but probably not. It was a 50s spoof horror movie, and I was the lead hero scientist that figured out what was going on and had to save the day.
Oh,
It was black and white. It was actually a lot of fun. I was awful, but it was fun.
all right. Well, that's great. I wish I had known that before today. Um,
All I'm saying is maybe we'll make another movie. I
all
want to
right.
make another
Maybe
movie.
we'll make a movie. Okay.
I want to make a movie.
As of now, we haven't. And thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. That might be the first time of season 2 I've said that.
Yeah. Hey,
Yeah.
bodies, bodies, bodies.
Bodies, bodies, bodies. BD5, BD5, BD5 is the
So
shorthand lingo for bodies, bodies, bodies.
why is that?
I don't
Because the
know.
five
That's
looks like an S.
yeah, I think so.
That's stupid.
Yeah, that's just how the internet did it.
It's not a fucking
For
license plate.
for the 5th episode of season 2 of the podcast for the recently deceased, I'm Nate Roberts,
I am Rodney Godek. Take care.
and we'll see you next time.